Welcome to this week's Flowers for Dreams DIY workshop. My name is Allie and I will be your flower coach this week. I'm excited to make this heather arrangement with you. It is just full of the sweetest pinks, purples and burgundies. It just really accents all that heather is in a flower. So let's get into our greenery and the flowers this week. We have Gunna eucalyptus, lovely sage flower to add wispy accents to your arrangement. We have these Nobio carnations, which have a lovely pink on the outside of each petal, as well as a deep burgundy on the inside, making them a real statement piece. We have these purple alstroemeria. We have sweet Eskimo roses, which are in the soft pink, and they are just have such a sweet smell. We have burgundy snapdragons. We have pink lisianthus, and we have this purple cushion palm that is just so fluffy, just almost exactly like a dahlia. They have lush petals, lots of buds, really long flowers that we're going to be able to use individually. It's going to be great. But let's get into that arrangement. This week, I'm going to use the white vase. I think it's going to be such a statement piece against this limited color palette. It is going to be that nice, deep, dark burgundy for the most part with the light pops of pink, and this white vase is just really going to make that all pop. So that's the one I'm going to use this week. I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are excited about it too. Let's break up some greenery. So we don't want any leaves in our water, so we're going to clean up any greenery leaves that would hit our water. But in order to use our greenery most effectively, most efficiently, we want to break it apart in ways that we can actually use it, where it's going to touch water and create a grid for us. So each piece is going to crisscross, and that is really going to hold our flowers together. We want to try to find these taller pieces that we can use separately. The ones that have branches are also really great because then you can kind of thread the different pieces in between them to create that grid a little bit easier. So I'm going to put that one in first actually, and it's a little bit there. Now they're not in water. A little bit deeper than I expected with that piece. So let's go there and there, kind of weaving front, back, left, right. Let's break up another piece of greenery. Getting two pieces out of one. We don't want the foliage to be too wide, but you don't want it so short that everything's kind of bottlenecked into your arrangement either. Let's see. Again, this one is a little tall. I'm gonna take off this tall piece here, use that as a separate piece. And I think I'm gonna clean up these, but not pull them off. Again, create a little bit of that grid that can be down into the water, but not too tall. There. Oh, I dropped a piece. Okay. And then how to split this guy up? Again, cleaning off those lower leaves, but not breaking apart the branch so that I can still use it all as one. And going in from an angle so that it really strengthens our grid. Got a few more pieces over here to add in. Clean up the greens. I'm just loving the soft eucalyptus foliage and how it's going to be such a beautiful foliage for these dark, dark tones. All right, she seems nice and full. Maybe another piece right here. It looks like there's a little bit of a hole there. Nothing's fallen out, nothing's too straight up. It's just a nice grid for us to work with. What flower do we want to start with? I think the line flowers would be good. They're a line flower because they are literally a line that has flowers down it. It doesn't branch apart like these guys. And usually I cluster the line flowers together, but I think this time I should make them a little bit different. I'm going to put one over here and on the side. Woo. See how it ended up in the front? To get it onto that side, I think I need to come in at a little bit more of an angle to get through that grid. There we are. And this other one, I think I want to go more in the inside of the vase. There. Okay. Let's do our roses next. To open up a rose, you can do a couple things. You can reflex the petals if you want. These sweet Eskimo roses, they're a little bit more dainty of a flower. Sometimes they break if you try to do that, but we can do it with a couple of the petals. But if you're noticing that they're snapping or breaking, just stop and pull those broken petals off. You just don't want to break the whole rose, but pulling back the petals can really create a lot more space with that. Another thing that we can do is spin the roses. With the ones that I have, they're really have a bent stem, so spinning them isn't quite working. But what you want to do if you're going to spin a rose is you're going to hold that stem gently between your two palms and slowly roll that stem back and forth, and that will open up the petals a little bit more as well. I think for this first rose, I don't want it as tall as those snapdragons, but I want it to be a taller piece. So I'm gonna leave the stem a little long, and I feel like that's a little bit too tall. Let's go a little shorter. There. And I'm just gonna turn the vase a little bit. I think I want to do another rose that's a little bit lower, kind of clustered with that one, but more on the side. To open up this one, I'm going to use some air. So another way that you can open up a rose is to kind of gently push aside those petals with your fingers. So you get closer to the inside where it's a little bit tighter closed petals. And then once you get there, just big puff of air straight to the center, and it'll open everything up quite nicely. Again, you can kind of work your fingers around, adding a little more air. You can reflex a couple of the petals if you feel like, and again, take off any of those guard petals, take off any of those petals that are crunched, don't look so great. And we want to put our stems in so that they are going across the vase rather than straight up and down. All right, let's put one on this side. This one actually has some pretty green leaves, so I think I'm going to leave that one on there just because it's lush and lovely. I'm going to take off those ugly petals, give it a little air. I don't want it too short. I want to work it through that grid that we made. There. How cute is she? Okay. What flower next? Let's go with these Alstroemeria. You can kind of see, we want to, of course, pull the greens off. You can kind of see when you're looking at it, it does have a good number of green leaves up by the top of the flower. There's a ring of them that is at the base of where all those flowers start, and then there's also a leaf that's along that stem. If you gently pinch with your nails that leaf, it'll take it right off. If you try to pull it, sometimes it'll break those fragile flower stems. So just gently remove them, and that'll really make the flower pop forward. It'll take a little bit more of that greenery away. If you like the greenery, that's totally fine to leave it. It's not gonna hit the water, so it's not gonna cause any harm with anything. But you just see a lot more of that purple when it's taken off. So now I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna add these 3 stems of Alstroe to the vase. Again, taking off some of those leaves that are up top that are causing, and I just broke a flower. So when you do that, you can leave the leaf if you want, or you can just break it off at the bottom. I knew what was gonna happen. They're a little fragile. They're a little bit diva-ish sometimes. It helps to get through the grid if you, when you're pushing your stem through, if it does feel a little stuck, what you can do is spin it between your 2 fingers, between your thumb and your fingers, and that'll help find a way through that grid. And on this Alstroe, this whole flower is just smushed, so I'm just gonna break that one off. It looks like it could use something down here, so that's where I'm gonna put this one. Come on, grid. Ooh. And she's a little tall. Do you see how all of a sudden when I was putting it through, it all of a sudden stood up, and now rather than seeing more of the flower facing forward, we're seeing a lot more of that stem. It's just because it's a bit too tall. It wants to be shorter so that it can sit on the edge of the vase rather than sitting at the bottom. Oh, I'm getting my vase all dirty. I'll wipe that up later. All right. Let's use our cushion palms next. So these have all sorts of little pieces, and I did break some off earlier. We again want to clean off those stems, make sure we're not putting any leaves in the water. But there are some that are just kind of wimpy. Trying to find one, but there are buds that don't really have flower petals at all because they're just too young, that really won't do much of anything. If you like them, you can leave them on, but I tend to just kind of cut them off just because they don't add much to the arrangement. If it was a bud vase, it might add a good amount of texture, but let's clean off and separate these long stems and leave the very tallest one on the tall stem. Actually, we might leave those 2 together. How cute are they? And then I'm just going to go through and add these into the vase. Really just adding a little bit of cluster with that deep purple color tone together. I'm going to start with my shorter pieces and kind of add them in a little bit lower in the vase, just because they can't be tall. Obviously, they're shorties. So just adding them in, making sure they're all reaching water. If you're not sure if it's reaching water, just put it to where you want it and then pull that stem back out and see if it has water on it. It's the easiest way. And then you can, if it does, then you can put it back in and know that it's gonna live there just fine. And if it doesn't, gotta find a new spot for it. Okay. I'm gonna use one of these taller pieces because I do like this cluster here, but I feel like it needs a little bit of height to it. There. All right. Don't want to use my other tall one yet. Let's get the rest of these little buds there. Okay, so I think I want to use this one that has the two right here in this lovely spot. So I'm gonna cut that, hold it up to the vase, and it'll really help me gauge the height. I'm gonna put the flower in again at an angle, not going straight down, making sure that it's getting to water, of course. And you can pull those greenery pieces back out. Sometimes when you're starting to put flowers in, they kind of get smushed towards the center. So just feel free to give them a little air and pull them a little back out around those flowers. And then I think the other spot that I want to use this tall one is right here because it just feels a little empty. And I do really like this pop of burgundy purple that'll add with a little bit of height. Be tall, Snapdragon. Stand. There. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's break up these Lisianthus. We want to break them up efficiently so that we are getting to use more stems than less stems. I know that just sounds like it makes sense, but so this one I'm going to divide right here. So I have both of these. And then also if I wanted this cute little bud on its own, I could separate that out as well, pulling off those lower pieces of greens that would get into our water. With our Lisianthus, we can actually reflex those petals. So what I want to do is use my 2 fingers to hold the top of the petal and my thumb to gently pull that petal back. So again, kind of opening that up, giving it a little bit of air, using my thumb to just slide it over. There's a little bit of pollen in there, so you might get some pollen on you. But how cute are those? It is like a cute little butterfly. All right, give it a nice angled cut. And let's put that into the vase, but leave it out a little. Just give it a little movement. Okay. Next, I want to use this piece. I want to use it nice and tall, and I want to use it in the center. And again, I want to reflex those petals just because I think they're quite lovely reflexed. Maybe don't reflex everything. You can kind of leave it more open. Nice angled cut. Now, Lisianthus stem can be a little more fragile, so be gentle when putting that through your grid and gently spin it through rather than forcing it, or else you may break that stem, which is fine. If you do break the stem, we can just use it as a shorter flower somewhere else. Not a problem at all. Or if it's too short for your vase, of course, you can always use it in a bud vase. Not a problem. All right, let's see, one more to go. I want to be able to use this cute little bud too. I think that would be fun. Nice. Make sure it reaches water. Look at it, just hanging out. quite lovely. Okay. And on this one, because these Lisianthus flowers have 2 rows of petals, I think what I'll do on this one is just reflex that first layer and open up that second layer with a little bit of air. It's almost kind of like a daffodil, where it has that first open shelf and then the flower coming up, which you can kind of see from a profile look. Just fun, a little bit different for Lisianthus. There, okay. Now we just have the carnations. And pretty much with these, you can open carnations up by kind of rolling them in between your fingers, kind of pulling those petals back. But you can also open them up by ripping, gently ripping that greenery open a little bit, and it'll just let the flower kind of fall open. It does add a good amount of air in there, but if you do rip it too far, then you have the petals kind of spilling out. So some people love it, some people hate it. If you want to try it, go for it. If you don't like it, don't worry. You won't hurt my feelings. All right, so this needs something a little lower. So I'm just gonna make this carnation short, get it through that greenery. Again, when we're going short, we want to go across. We don't want to go down. If we're going down, then you're going to see mostly stem, and you really want to see the top of that flower. I'm going to roll this one open too. Almost has that soft pink in the very center of the flower. I want this one to be a little bit longer, I think. And spinning it through. Carnation stems can be a little fragile as well. They tend to break at the little nodes that they have there. So just, again, be gentle with those as well. And don't worry, they do break. If they break, it'll be okay. They're fighting with each other. That really wants to be right there, and sometimes you just gotta let the flower do what it wants to do. And I'll just move that Lisianthus down because it's a little bit shorter of a flower anyway. She's still lovely. All right, and where's this last one gonna go? I think maybe in the center. I feel like it could use a little bit of height, not as tall as this Lisianthus is, but just a little bit of texture in there before the alstroemeria is going to open up. There. I hope you guys had a great time. Please do take photos of your arrangements, put them on Instagram, and make sure to @Flowers for Dreams so we can take a look at them as well. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you love this heather arrangement, and I look forward to making another arrangement with you soon.